The Canterbury Bulldogs are seeking an immediate rebound as they return home to face the St George Illawarra Dragons in the opening game of NRL Indigenous Round. Cameron Ciraldo's side allowed an 8-point lead slip when they fell to the Raiders last weekend, and they are eager to produce a much improved showing. The match will provide the final opportunity for Origin hopefuls on both sides to put their hands up for NSW and Queensland selection. Bulldogs trio Matt Burton, Josh Adokar and Stephen Crichton are in the mix for the Blues, while St George Illawarra's Ben Hunt and Jaden Sue are eyeing a Maroons call-up, with Zach Lomax also in NSW contention. The Dragons will be fresh coming into the game after enjoying the bye during Magic Round and are set to welcome back Luciano Leilua from a calf injury. It will be an emotional evening for St George Illawarra fullback and proud Wiradjuri man Tyrell Sloan as he faces off against close friend Josh Adokar. The Bulldogs winger has guided the youngster throughout a tough initiation into the top flight after they met at the Corey knockout a few years ago. Bulldogs, after being hospitalized with a staph infection last week which saw him miss Magic Round, Jman Salmon returns to the lineup and will start in the second row, pushing Josh Curran back to the bench. Posa Famozili drops off the bench, with the 17 otherwise unchanged. Dragons, just one change to the 17 who took the field in the club's last game prior to their Round 11 bye, with Luciano Leilua returning from injury on the bench at the expense of Ben Murdoch-Masler. Fullback Tyrell Sloan and winger Zach Lomax each have 7 tries in 10 games so far this season. West's Tigers season is slipping away after falling to a 6th straight loss, and BG Marshall's men have another tough trip ahead as they prepare meet with the North Queensland outfit buoyed by their first win since Round 5. It was far from the performance Todd Payten knows his side is capable of, but there will be a new sense of help in the air at training this week after the Cowboys snapped a 5-game losing streak with a gritty 28-22 win over the Rabbitohs in Magic Round. An honest and open Payten admitted to the toll that the last few weeks have had on both him and the team, but having finally got the losing monkey off their backs, will be desperate to prove it wasn't a one-off. The West's Tigers, meanwhile, continue to beat themselves with ill discipline and errors after going down to the Dolphins 24-12 in Magic Round. Their 7th straight loss on Sunday was compounded by dangerous contact charges to centre duo Brent Naden and Justin Olam, who have both been banned for 1 match. With English forward John Bateman also sidelined with a pec injury, Benji Marshall will once again look to young stars Lachlan Galvin and Jaheim Bula and star skipper API Koroiza to spring his side to a Round 12 upset. Cowboys, coach Todd Payten has named the same 17 who got the job done over the Rabbitohs at Magic Round, with Braiden Burns retaining a place on the wing after scoring a double in his club debut. Cameron Munster's long-term injury has opened up a spot in the halves for the Maroons, so it shapes as a particularly big game for Cowboys number 6 Tom Dearden, who is a contender to fill the void. Kyle Feldt has been named in the reserves and will be monitored at training before a decision is made on his availability. The veteran winger missed the Rabbitohs game with an ankle injury. West's Tigers, with both of their centres from last week picking up suspensions, Benji Marshall has been forced to reach deep into his roster for Indigenous Round, with Declan Casey and Josh Feletti joining the backline. There is a big inclusion as well though, with Isaiah Papali'i returning from his suspension to start in the second row. Justin Matamia joins the side and starts at lock, with Alex Twill dropping back to the bench. The Sea Eagles are back on home turf at Four Pines Park and looking to snap a 3-game losing streak when they host the Storm on Friday night. Manly's losses to the Raiders, Dolphins and Broncos have seen them drop from 4th to 10th on the ladder, but the total losing margin across the 3 games is just 7 points, so it's not all doom and gloom at Brookvale. The Storm sit in second after wiping the Eels off the park at Magic Round, but a recurrence of a groin injury to star playmaker Cameron Munster could prove to be a pivotal moment in their season. The club confirmed on Monday that Munster would miss 8-10 weeks, while halfback Jahrome Hughes is no certainty to return from a calf injury that has kept him out of the past 2 games. Hughes and Munster have played just 5 games together this season, while the Sea Eagles' main men Daly Cherry Evans and Luke Brooks have played every game, fine-tuning a combination the club hopes can lead them back to the finals after a 2-year absence. The Sea Eagles have won 3 of 4 at home this season and will be hoping a bumper crowd at Four Pines Park can help turn 3 narrow losses into a morale-boosting victory. Sea Eagles, a big in on the wing for Anthony Seibold's men, with Jason Sarr back earlier than expected from a shoulder injury. Nathan Brown also returns from time-out with a quad injury and takes the spot on the bench made vacant by the loss of Matt Lodge, biceps. There's still no sign of first-choice hooker Lachlan Croker, who hasn't played since suffering concussion in round 9. With Carl Lawton named to start in the number 9 jersey again. Storm, Jahrome Hughes has been named to return from a calf injury and replaces Cameron Munster, groin, although a call on whether he actually plays might not be made until later in the week, with Melbourne having the option to give him a couple more weeks off if needed, given they have a bye in round 13. The versatile Grant Anderson has again been included on the bench, which includes Trent Loiero this week after he moved prior to kick-off at Magic Round. The Raiders and Roosters renew their rivalry in round 12, with both looking to consolidate a spot in the top 8 and make a statement against a fellow contender. After conceding 74 points in losses to the Broncos and Sharks in round 7-8, the Raiders have turned the corner in a big way with comeback wins over the Sea Eagles and Bulldogs to sit 6th on the ladder. The form of youngsters Ethan Strange, Kaio Weeks and Xavier Savage has been a breath of fresh air in the national capital, and there's a real buzz around the Green Machine on the back of coach Ricky Stuart re-signing until 2029. The Roosters racked up a mammoth 138 points in wins over the Dragons, Broncos and Warriors before going down 38-30 to the Sharks in a quality contest at Magic Round. Coach Trent Robinson may not have been thrilled with the 38 points conceded, but he'll be liking what he sees in attack from his live wire number 7 Sam Walker and his powerhouse outside backs, while back rowers Angus Crichton and Victor Adley are also in top form. The return of centre Joey Manu from concussion only makes the Ducks more dangerous, while utility Sandon Smith is also available for selection, having served a 1-game suspension. In 7 clashes between the sides since the 2019 Grand Final, it's the Raiders holding a slender 4-3 advantage, which suggests another tight encounter is on the cards at Jio Stadium on Saturday. News Raiders: Peter Hola comes in on the bench to replace suspended veteran Josh Papalii in what is the only change to the 17 who beat the Bulldogs last week. Fullback Jordan Rapana and prop Joseph Tapine are both good to go after receiving monetary fines for charges picked up in round 11. Roosters: Joey Manu returns from the concussion protocol and bumps Junior Pega back to the bench, with the backline otherwise unchanged and 5/8 Luke Erie good to go after undergoing a heal inside the final 15 minutes of last week's loss to the Sharks. Nat Butcher drops back to the reserves, with Victor Radley set to start on an edge and Norfar White coming in at lock. Connor Watson, throat, is also out and replaced by Sandon Smith. A clash between two of the competition's heavyweights shapes up to be the match of the round, with the Sharks coming off a statement win over the Roosters and the Panthers looking to bounce back from a narrow defeat. The Sharks are shaping to be the team to beat in 2024, boasting a 9-1 record after downing the Storm and Roosters in recent weeks, well and truly rewriting the narrative that they can't beat the top teams. Craig Fitzgibbon's men won't have forgotten their last meeting with the Premiers when they were shut out 28-0 at Bluebet Stadium and skipper Cameron McInnes was forced to make 81 tackles for his side. But the Shire boys will be keen for an opportunity to test themselves against the defending Premiers and show their defensive resolve has come leaps and bounds this year. The Panthers, meanwhile, are in unfamiliar territory, coming off their first loss since round 5 and will be looking through the errors, 11, and discipline, 39 missed tackles, which ultimately cost them against the Warriors. Sharks: stability is the catch cry in the Shire as the Sharks roll out the same 17 that knocked off the Roosters in round 11. Halfback Nicho Hynes looks to press his Blues origin claims further with another command performance, while Cam McInnes, Jesse Ramian and Thomas Hazelton are also in the mix for rep honours. Braden Trindle is again listed among the reserves as he looks to work his way back into a side that has now won 7 on the trot. Panthers: Scott Sorensen is promoted to the starting side after returning from a knee injury via the bench in Magic Round. Liam Henry returns from concussion and joins the bench with Luke Garner the man to miss out. Languishing in 14th and 17th place respectively, the Rabbitohs and Eels need to turn things around quickly before their seasons slip away completely. South Sydney showed plenty of heart to push the Cowboys right to the end in Magic Round, but still have just the one win for the season as they continue to struggle with form and confidence. Their injury toll is something that will continue to challenge them over the next few weeks, but interim coach Ben Hornby will welcome back Jacob Host, suspension, with open arms into a depleted forward pack which has lacked punch in recent weeks. Meanwhile, the Eels' 48-16 demolition by Melbourne on Sunday came as their 4th consecutive loss and looked to be the final straw for coach Brad Arthur, who was shown the door on Monday. Star halfback Mitch Moses remains sidelined with a foot injury, so Dylan Brown and DeJonas again call the shots in the halves, while rookie Blaise Talagi should have taken plenty of confidence after his second hit out at fullback. Rabbitohs: Jack Whiten has been shifted to 5/8 and Cody Walker moves to halfback in a playmaking reshuffle with Deont Bird dropping to 18th man. Taine Milne and Michael Cheekham are the new centres and Isaac Thompson is relegated to the reserves. Jacob Host's return from suspension in the back row sees Silive Havli move to the bench. Eels, no sign of panic from interim coach Trent Barrett despite the thumping loss to the Storm with Ryan Mattison's return from illness the only change. Bryce Cartwright reverts to the bench and Luca Moretti drops to the reserves. Star halfback Mitch Moses remains sidelined with a foot injury. The Brisbane Broncos have their sights set on 3 straight wins as they prepare to face the Gold Coast Titans in the South East Queensland derby. Kevin Walters' side will play a rare Sunday afternoon game at Suncorp Stadium as they look to build on last week's win over Manly. The clash will also serve as the final opportunity for players from both teams to put their hands up for State of Origin selection before squads are announced after round 12. Brisbane are likely to welcome back Reece Walsh from a knee injury that kept him out of Magic Round, with Walters optimistic Paynes will be fit to play after picking up a lower leg injury last weekend. The Titans are looking to rebound after a 4-point loss to the Knights last Saturday. Veteran halfback Ian Foran is in the frame to return from a hamstring injury for the Gold Coast, with Jaden Campbell also expected to be in the mix. The Brisbane Broncos have their sights set on 3 straight wins as they prepare to face the Gold Coast Titans in the South East Queensland derby. Kevin Walters' side will play a rare Sunday afternoon game at Suncorp Stadium as they look to build on last week's win over Manly. The clash will also serve as the final opportunity for players from both teams to put their hands up for State of Origin selection before squads are announced after round 12. Brisbane are likely to welcome back Reece Walsh from a knee injury that kept him out of Magic Round, with Walters optimistic Paynes will be fit to play after picking up a lower leg injury last weekend. The Titans are looking to rebound after a 4-point loss to the Knights last Saturday. Veteran halfback Ian Foran is in the frame to return from a hamstring injury for the Gold Coast, with Jaden Campbell also expected to be in the mix. Broncos, 2 big inclusions with fullback Reece Walsh, knee, and hooker Billy Walters, wrist, back on deck, but centre coach Tony Staggs will miss the match due to a fractured rib. Selwyn Cobbo returns to the centres after playing fullback last week and Josiah Karapani retains his spot in Staggs' absence. Walters' return sees Tyson Smoothie go back to the bench and Blake Moser make way. Paynes has been named to play despite suffering a toe injury last week. Titans, Tom Weaver has been named to start at halfback and Chris Randall is again the 5/8 with veteran playmaker Ian Foran listed among the reserves as he looks to return from a hamstring injury. Aaron Scoop's departure to Manly sees Jojo Fifita shift to centre and Tony Francis come in on the wing. With Jamin Jolliffe sidelined by a back injury, Josiah Pilla will start in the front row and Joe Stimson joins the bench. Fullback Jaden Campbell remains sidelined with a knee injury. 2 teams riding high after wins at Magic Round square off in a round 12 clash that promises a smorgasbord of free-flowing football in Auckland. Their Warriors dug deep to arrest a 4-game losing slide with a memorable win over the Premiers as Taintu Opiki and Mayor Martin stood tall in front of a raucous crowd at Suncorp Stadium. In the absence of Sean Johnson, Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, To Harris and Kurt Capewell, it was left to some of the Warriors' unheralded players to take the fight to the Panthers and come away with a 22-20 triumph that could prove season-defining. Their Warriors are set to be without hooker Wade Egan after he failed a here early in Sunday's game, but they could welcome back Chanel Harris-Tavita, calf, and Freddie Lussick, concussion. The Dolphins, meanwhile, continued their rollicking start to 2024 with a hard-fought win over West's Tigers, lifting them to a 7-3 record. At the corresponding stage last year, the Dolphins were 6-4 in their debut season before winning just 3 of their final 14 games to slide out of contention. A repeat of that seems most unlikely in 2024, with Wayne Bennett's men showing greater resilience and boasting greater depth in their playing ranks to cope with injuries and the loss of star fullback James Otabu'e-Fido to Origin duty. A clash between 2 of the competition's heavyweights shapes up to be the match of the round, with the Sharks coming off a statement win over the Roosters and the Panthers looking to bounce back from a narrow defeat. The Sharks are shaping to be the team to beat in 2024, boasting a 9-1 record after downing the Storm and Roosters in recent weeks, well and truly rewriting the narrative that they can't beat the top teams. Craig Fitzgibbon's men won't have forgotten their last meeting with the Premiers when they were shut out 28-0 at Bluebet Stadium and skipper Cameron McInnes was forced to make 81 tackles for his side. But the Shire boys will be keen for an opportunity to test themselves against the defending Premiers and show their defensive resolve has come leaps and bounds this year. The Panthers, meanwhile, are in unfamiliar territory, coming off their first loss since round 5 and will be looking to rue the errors. 11, and discipline, 39 missed tackles, which ultimately cost them against the Warriors.